is that Krishna wants to tell that he only has created the material nature and the living entity, both of them. Yeah. Krishna only has created. So after telling, then Prabhupada is giving some explanation. So in the first paragraph, Prabhupada is telling that this regarding this material world only, and material, how the material nature is the mother, and it is supplying the body. Krishna is impregnating the material nature with living entity. So both material nature and the living entity, and both of them are the energy of the Krishna. So how one energy of Krishna is impregnating another? Because Krishna is only doing, impregnating the material nature that we can understand. And then after that, the second paragraph here, the seventh chapter, this Prabhupada is quoting that how this material nature is also energy of the Krishna and living entity, both of them. Then Prabhupada is giving one analogy of how we can see that how there is immediate cause and there is also a remote cause. For explaining that concept, Prabhupada has given this analogy. So what Prabhupada is telling, that scorpion, and he lays its egg in the pile of rice, and when that new scorpion, and when child scorpion comes from that eggs, then what happen? We cannot say that scorpions are born from rice, although rice is the uh, immediate cause. But actually, who has given the birth? One scorpion only has given birth to another scorpion. Similarly, Prabhupada is telling Krishna only is giving birth to. So, material nature is giving Kshetra, we studied in last chapter, and it is giving the bodies to the living entity. But Krishna is the cause behind material nature. Seed is given by the Lord only, and material nature is also created by Lord. And in both ways, Lord is the only cause. Then Prabhupada is concluding, thus every living entity according to his past activities has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deed. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestation of living entities in the material world. It is Prabhupada explaining finished. And in this verse, name, next verse also, in the same thing, that Krishna tells about how he has created. Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavantiya Tasam Brahma Maudyoni Aham Bija Pradapita. Krishna is telling Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. So all species of life are made possible by birth in the material nature. Tasam Brahma Mahadivani. Forms. Sambhavanti, they appear. All living entities appear. Sorry, all species of life, not all living entities. Sarva Yonishu. Yoni means species. So all species of life are made possible by birth in this material world. And Krishna is the father. Aham Bija Pradha Pita. This is the name. So now we understand here that what is the purpose of this verse. Last verse, what Krishna has told, that I impregnate and I impregnate. And now he here what is name is Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. So he is impregnating, means he is creating all species and all Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. Means all living entities in material world. Means it's all species means whatever are in material world. So so all living entities who are in material world, so they are impregnated by Krishna. And this is in the beginning only, not in the beginning of the creation. So that is the context here. That Krishna is telling in beginning only. And after that, no need to impregnate. And they are coming there. Once the universe is created, then living entities are coming there by their karma. And the beginning also they are coming according to karma, but Krishna is involved personally in the beginning. Then we'll read the purport. Somebody can, one line only I will read. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. Aham Bija Pradapita. We can read next.
The living entities are a combination of material nature and the spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities within the earth, there are living entities even within the water and within fire.
So what Sarva Yonishu, the word Krishna has mentioned. So Prabhupada explaining that so living entities are everywhere. And so one of the word used for living entities is they are Sarvagata. And means they found everywhere. And below the stone also there are living entities everywhere in the universe. They are there. Has mentioned here, within water and within fire, there is presence of living entity everywhere. Next, somebody can read.
All these appearances are due to the mother material nature and Krishna's seed giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds.
And while explaining translation that context is that Krishna is speaking in regards to time of creation, which Prabhupada has told. All these appearances are due to the mother material nature and Krishna is seed. Both of them are involved in impregnating living entities in this material world, according to their past due, which Prabhupada has mentioned. So now, till now, what has happened? So first, Krishna has glorified this knowledge of modes, and then Krishna has explained the verse third and fourth. So how first, when creation has started, then who was there first? Material nature was there. Then Krishna has impregnated, and this is the material nature. And Krishna has impregnated living entity into that material nature. Then this happened. Now we know that from 13th chapter, this material nature is binding living entity to three modes that Krishna is mentioning here again with clarity in fifth verse. What is telling in fifth verse? Satvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhava nibandhanti mahabaho tehinam avyayah. So what are the modes? Three modes. Sattva raja tama iti. These are the three modes. Gunaha prakriti sambhavat. And how they are controlling material, they are the modes of material nature, prakriti sambhavat, and these gunas are created by material nature, and nibhadnati, and then whom they are binding? Nibhadnati means they are binding, and so whom they are binding? Dehe dehinam avyayam. So the living entity in this body, Dehe, the living entity who has taken body and means who has accepted yoni, they have taken particular body in particular species in yoni. That living entity is nibhadnati by three modes of material nature. That material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, when Krishna has impregnated that living entity there, Almighty Arjuna, Mahabaho, and he becomes conditioned by these modes. Then these material modes, they control the living entity. Somebody can read good correctly.
The living,
The living,
please continue. Hare Krishna.
the living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with the material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material world, he is acting under a spell of the three modes of material nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies, in terms of the different aspects of nature, they are induced to act according to that nature. That is the cause of the varieties of happiness and distress.
So, what Prabhupada is telling here, so living entity is transcendental. So, it doesn't have give and take with material nature, nothing to do with material nature. Because then he, living entity is conditioned by the material world and a material nature by three modes. And living entity have some body and a particular body out of 84 lakhs, and they are induced to act according to that body and according to their karma. This is the cause of variety of happiness and distress. According to that, he is getting happiness and distress in this world, Prabhupada is telling. Then we see that Acharya has now mentioned one point that Lord has described the appearance of living entities in previous verse and in this verse also through Prakriti and Krishna himself, Father. And this verse answers. Then how the living entity they is getting bound by the modes of material nature. And that Acharya mentioned. So Krishna has spoken in this verse. That is clear. Then now this verse has mentioned all these three modes. They bind living entity like that only mentioned. Then how particular each like sattva binds the living entity and rajoguna binds the living entity and tamoguna binds the living entity and how each mode is binding them. And so that is mentioned next. Sixth verse mentioned how particularly sattva guna binds the living entity. So we'll read. Tatra sattvam nirmalatva prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhanati jnana sangena chanudha. What Krishna is telling? Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat. So the mode of goodness, nirmalatvat, being purer than others, is illuminating, means prakashakam, anamayam, illuminating, and it frees one from sinful reactions, means anamayam. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Sukham, Sukha Sangena Badhanati, Jnana Sangena Chanabha. So the mode of goodness, Sattva Guna, how it is binding the living entities? By happiness and knowledge. And the characteristics of the mode of goodness is it is purer than others. And it is binding, means it is not completely pure, but in comparison to other two modes, it is purer. It is illuminating prakash, and it frees anamayam from all sinful reactions. So these are three characteristics and how it is binding by happiness and knowledge to living entities. The living entities conditioned by material nature are various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. So what Prabhupada has mentioned in the first line is one is happy, that is living entity in sattva, according to characteristics. Another is active, that we will see in next verse. What Prabhupada has mentioned, that is rajoguna, passion. And another is helpless, ignorance, and tamoguna. all these types of psychological manifestations are cause of the living entity's conditioned status in nature. Yeah. So all these are there, means they are conditioned, they are bound by these modes. How they are differently conditioned is explained in the section of Bhagavad Gita. This section is mentioning how they are differently bound. Somebody can read the yellow one.
The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness in the material world is that one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. A man in the mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. This sense of happiness is due to understanding that, in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness.
Thank you, bro. So, regarding mode of goodness, Prabhupada is telling, it is first mentioned. And the effect of developing the mode of goodness in material world, what one becomes wiser than those otherwise conditioned. And otherwise conditioned means other two modes, they are wiser. A man in the mode of goodness is not much affected by material miseries. He is happy. He has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. Representative type is the Brahmana, who has this majorly, who has this mode, the Brahmana people, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. The sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reaction. It is mentioned, anamayam, free from sinful reactions, more or less. That's why they are happy. Actually, in the Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness. That only, jnana and sukha there, and greater knowledge and greater sense of happiness. Very simple. Next, somebody can read.
The difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best example are the scientists and the philosophers. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in the conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted toward working in mode of goodness, and as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of the material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant.
Thank you, bro. So, last paragraph Prabhupada has mentioned, actually, more or less, they are freed from the sinful activities and they have knowledge and they have greater sense of happiness also. And what is problem in the mode of goodness? And one may think that it is not binding only, it is giving happiness. And so, in this paragraph, Prabhupada is mentioning how it bind. It is a binding only. So, in this regard, Prabhupada started that living entity becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and he has knowledge, and then what he is feeling is that person in the mode of goodness, he thinks that he is advanced in knowledge compared to other living entities, and he is better than others. And pride is coming uh, in his heart. In this way, he becomes conditioned. Then how he is conditioning? Because of his attachment to the knowledge, or because he is becoming proud. So that becoming proud is conditioning him. The best examples, and Prabhupada is giving an example that scientists and philosophers, each is very proud of his knowledge. And because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. The sense of advanced happiness. So they are feeling they are advanced, better than others. So what is the problem? Knowledge is not the problem. So attachment to the knowledge. Happiness is not the problem. Attachment to the happiness. And but this because of this attachment, what is happening? The pride breeds, and then because of both attachment and this pride, and then they are entering to mode of passion. So attachment, we can say that attachment to the jnana, attachment to knowledge, is leading to where? Ignorance. So knowledge is not a problem, but these people in the mode of goodness, with some passage of time, and they becomes proud. Some sense of pride comes. That is the problem. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness. And as long as they have an attraction for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the modes of nature. Another problem with modes of goodness is that they want to work in a mode of goodness. They are not stopping because they are dutiful, and they're attached to mode of goodness. They are not ready to leave that mode. So they want to work in mode of goodness till eternity. But death is coming and they have to take, because they have desire to work in mode of goodness, they have to take another birth. So they are not getting liberation. Mukti, they are not receiving. Or of being transferred to the spiritual world. And they are not going to spiritual world also. They are not doing bhakti also. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, scientist, or a poet, or repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. This is another way the goodness is binding. So that they want to work and they are not getting liberation. They are not going to spiritual world also. Then what? Repeatedly they have to take birth. Due to this illusion of the material energy, one thinks that sort of life is pleasant. And because of they are in the goodness, they think that uh, they have sense of pleasure and jnanam and sukham. So because of this sukham, they want to continue their stay in the material world. So this is the way the goodness is binding. So one may think that they are not getting liberation. So mention that what is happening, they have desire to work in a mode of goodness. So because of that, they are not getting liberation. One may have question, why they are not getting liberation? Because they have jnana. And then they will, because they want to work in the mode of goodness. That's why they are not getting liberation. So this is the reason. And Krishna has mentioned this mode of goodness binds the living entity, and Prabhupada explained then how this mode of goodness is binding particularly. Then you'll see how this mode of passion is binding the living entities. Krishna will explain. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi Trishna sanga samudbhavam tan nibhadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehina. So what Krishna is mentioning, the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longing. Ragatmakam vidhi Trishna. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. And what is happening? Because the living entity in the mode of passion has unlimited desires and trishna. Sorry, ragatmukam. And longing means trishna. So, hankerings. So, because of this, the living entity in the mode of passion is bound to what? Material fruitive actions. Like Prabhupada has mentioned the active person in the last verse. You can read.
The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and woman. Woman has attraction for man, and man has attraction for woman. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in the mode of passion wants some honor in society or in the nation, and he wants to have a happy family with nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. If there is no liberation for those in the mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion?
Thank you, bro. So, Prabhupada is explaining. So, what we have learned from translation, just I will revise. So, how this mode of passion is binding through unlimited desires and longings. It is binding the living entity. Then, Prabhupada is explaining this mode of passion is characterized by the, we can see how, where we can see this mode of passion, between the attraction between man and woman. It is the two-way attraction. Both of them have attraction to each other. And this is the symptom of mode of passion. When the mode of passion is increased, when it is prominent, and we can say it is increased, it is prominent, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. That is Trishna. Krishna has explained. He wants to enjoy. What is that hankering? He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, the man in the mode of passion wants some honor. How he is enjoying, how he wants to enjoy by some honor and in society, nation, and wherever he gets. And, with his family, and they are the products of the mode of passion. So family is there, but what he is using family for? Sense gratification. That is the problem. These are the products of mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, and he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. And then what is happening? Because of his association and of his activities, his attachment is increasing. And that increase of attachment is binding him. In order to please his relatives, family members, and to keep up his prestige and honor, he is working. He got that, but to maintain that also, he has to work very hard. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in the mode of passion. Then Prabhupada is mentioning many living entities, they come in this category. Then modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of the mode of passion. This is modern civilization. We'll see in detail. The advanced condition was considered to be in the mode of goodness. So better than this mode of passion is goodness is better, and at least he is happy materially. But what is happening in mode of passion? In next verses, Prabhupada will mention that misery is only coming. First, he has to fulfill his desire, and after fulfilling his desire, he has to maintain that. So he is working and throughout his life, person in the mode of passion. If there is no liberation for the person in the mode of goodness, then below that is mode of passion. So what to think about mode of passion? So this way Prabhupada has mentioned. So mainly Prabhupada has mentioned what? The advancement of modern civilization. How everybody is in the mode of almost, and everybody is in the mode of passion in this modern civilization. And another symptom of this mode of passion is they want honor. And another is they want sense gratification through other living entities and through their, especially through their family members. So these are some symptoms Prabhupada has mentioned of the mode of passion. So Acharya has mentioned that how this Rajoguna is binding. So they have mentioned some details that they are telling that one doesn't obtain one's desired object. Then what happens? One develops desire, Trishna, to get that object. And after developing desire, what happens? The person will get that object. First, Trishna will come. And if the desire is fulfilled, desire has come. Desire is there. And then it is fulfilled. Then what is happening? Then one is associating with the enjoyment. So that attachment, then he is becoming attached to that enjoyment. Then this way he is getting bound in the material world. Person in the mode of passion. So Rajoguna, what it is giving birth to desire and attachment. In that way, they have mentioned. And mm, Acharya. And then Chaitanya Charanpur gives some insight that he's telling that um, little more insight that the person in the mode of passion, he has desire and for things which he doesn't have, and uh, he has attachment to things which he has already has. So in this way also the person is getting bound. And Prabhupada has mentioned these persons in the mode of passion, they are active people. And so they are always working. And one of the impetus of their work is, Prabhupada has mentioned two impetuses. And the ego or honor, the honor is the first impetus, and the um, family members, family is another impetus. Because of because of these two impetus, they are busy. Regarding this modern civilization. So regarding this, Prabhuji is mentioning that so modern civilization has its definition of success. So what is success according to modern civilization? We know that they if I have big house, I have more wealth, I have more vehicles, I have more degrees, I have more material knowledge. So these are some definitions, and in this civilization. Then, and also they think that they don't have any consideration of character. And as long as the politicians, they are maintaining good economy in the country, and they are okay with these politicians. They do not consider the character of that politician. So these are some characteristics of this modern civilization. And in Prabhuji gives one practical application here. So according to him, that if devotee has to stay now in this modern civilization, and how devotee can act, Prabhuji tells that. So devotee accepts this material world, but a devotee uh, doesn't accept this definition of success and of this material world. If devotee has accepted all this definition of success of this material world, then it is devotee cannot practice devotional service very properly or with determination. Then what devotee does is devotee he just deals with this material world for just bare minimum and whatever is a minimum requirement, and that only he uh, interact with this material world. If devotee is competing, like materialist, and he also has the definition of success like more money, more houses, and the more vehicles, then it is very difficult to practice devotional service. So a devotee, he Prabhuji's conclusion is that just for bare minimum and whatever is required and to live and practice the devotional service very nicely. So that devotee finds out and he does that only. And Prabhuji has mentioned another point that one of the danger of this modern civilization is that people are they are becoming materialistic. That is we have understood. But what is happening? They have accepted this materialistic life as a standard living, and so that is the problem. If somebody is not doing like that, then they will have question. So that is that shows that this modern civilization is becoming this materialism is becoming one is a standard way in this modern civilization. So these are some practical points Prabhuji has told. So this is about the mode of passion. Then in next verse, Krishna will mention about the mode of ignorance. So what Krishna is mentioning, tamastva ajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramad alasya nidrabhis tannibhadnati bharata. So how mode of ignorance is binding the living entity is, and it a delusion of all embodied living entities. That pramad and mohanam. So delusion is happening, moha. And the result of this mode are madness, and indolence, and sleep. So pramada is madness, and alasya is indolence, and nidrabhi is sleep. So these are characteristics of the person in the mode of ignorance. In this way, this ignorance is binding the living entity. First one. In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. So it shows that it is very unique qualification, peculiar qualification of ignorance. Somebody can read in yellow part.
The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what. But the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of mode of ignorance become mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, one become degraded. The definition of mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. वस्तु यथात्मया ज्ञान Jnana Jnanavakramam Viparya Jnana Janakam Tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. The children that he conceives will also die. The death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not much interested. They are not even active like the man who is controlled by the mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of the embedded in a mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleep at least 10 to 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of person conditioned by the mode of ignorance.
Thank you. So Prabhupada is mentioning that of the person who is under the mode of ignorance, and he cannot see the what is it? Before that, Prabhupada has mentioned that this it is just opposite. So whatever the characteristics were there of the mode of goodness, so it is just opposite of that. And he gives one definition of a mode of goodness from Vedic literature, that vastu yathatmaya jnana avarakam viparyaya jnana janakam tamaha. Means under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand a thing as it is. Like goodness, one can see things as it is, but in ignorance, one cannot see. So, what is the example? What is the madness they cannot see? That everybody is dying, and but his all ancestors they have died. Children will also die, and so death is sure. But still, this person is only madly accumulating. And he's not just uh, as a need, he is not earning money, but he is over accumulating and working very hard day and night. That is problem. This is madness, Prabhupada, and sign of ignorance. And another sign of ignorance is they are very lazy. They or how they show their laziness, they don't show interest in any spiritual activity. That shows they are lazy. And they are not active, like persons in the mode of passion. Then how they are showing their laziness is another symptom is sleep. They sleep more than required. They sleep more than 6 hours, like 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And also, they are addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. So these are some of the symptoms of ignorance Prabhupada has mentioned. And so these are, Krishna has mentioned how these three modes, they binds the living entity. So we'll have break for 10 minutes. We'll meet again. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. So now, until now, what Krishna has mentioned. First, he mentioned that these three modes they binds the living entity. Then, how individually they bind the living entity. He has mentioned. Now, ninth verse, he summarizes last three verses. Verse 6, 7, and 8. So what he say? Satvam sukha sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avrutyatu tamaha pramade sanjayatyuta. So what Krishna is telling, O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. Passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. So, in essence, how these three modes they are binding. So, somebody can read a complete purport.
A person in mood of goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit, just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in particular field of knowledge and may be satisfied in that way. A man in the mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spends for the good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give the charity institutions, etc. These are the signs of one in mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone.
Thank you, bro. So, what Prabhupada is explaining in this summary is that first Prabhupada is explaining mode of goodness. So, how mode of goodness is conditioning him by happiness, by that person. So how he is experiencing that happiness. First of all, he is satisfied his work or whatever intellectual pursuit, because knowledge is also one of the symptom of this mode. So Prabhupada is mentioning this word intellectual pursuit. Just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge, they are satisfied. That's why they are feeling the happiness. Then Prabhupada mentioned that the man in the mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He wants as much as he can and spends for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in the mode of passion. Fruitive actions. He wants the results and fruits of that activity, whatever he is doing. That person in the mode of ignorance, how he is covered, his knowledge is covered. He doesn't see things as it is. Whatever one does is good, neither for him nor for any. So this is the way these modes they binds the living entity. Then one may have question that are these three modes working simultaneously or how they are working? Individually they are working. So what is the exact way they are working? So Krishna that explains in next verse. So how these modes work. So what Krishna is telling, Rajas tamas cha abhibhuya satvam bhavati bharata rajah satvam tamaschaiva tamah satvam rajas tatha. What is telling? Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent. defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats the goodness and ignorance. And sometimes ignorance defeats the goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So there is a competition between these three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. For what? So who can act on that living entity? So sometimes when this goodness is prominent, then he is acting. Then passion and ignorance, what they are defeated.
मोटी पॉटी पे
Then
बैठी है, मंदिर चलेगी? तुझे मंदिर नहीं जाना? क्यों?
mode of passion is active. Then what is happening? Goodness and ignorance, they are defeated. And when ignorance it is active, then goodness and passion they are defeated. Means what is happening? At a time only one mode is only working on the living entity. We can experience that whatever symptoms we have studied before in previous 4 verses. So we can see now by contemplation all these for some particular period of time, all these modes they act on us for some particular duration. All these three modes. Sometimes we are in the mode of goodness and a passion and ignorance. So not that only we achieve that mode means the other two modes will not act throughout our life, and it is not like that. It is a dynamic condition and not like static. So it depends, and there is always a competition between these three modes. Like this, Krishna has given answer to the question that how they act and how these modes they act on the living entity. They act individually and one at a time. So somebody can read the explanation from Prabhupada.
When the mode of passion is prominent, the modes of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in his activities, in eating, etc. All this will be explained in the later chapters, but if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness and thus defeat the mode of ignorance and passion. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance, or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion.
Thank you, Prabhu. So what beginning Prabhupada has mentioned, that there is a competition, that whatever translation is there, that how there is till this point, one mode only acting at a time, and there is a competition between them. Then after that he's mentioning, therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. So one who has desire or intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness, he wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, then what he has to do, he has to transcend these three modes. And how he will transcend? The practice of Krishna consciousness. the practice of devotional service, bhakti, automatically he will transcend these three modes. Krishna will explain in the next part. The prominence of some certain modes of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in his activities, in eating, and this also Krishna will explain further. How a person in mode of goodness deals, what are his activities, how he eats, and all these in three different modes. So all this will be explained in later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by practice. So we have free will also. And although these modes are binding, so we also have a free will. And we also have a choice which mode we can be in either of the three. It is not that we don't have any choice. It is not like. Then next Prabhupada is mentioning, although there are these three modes of material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness. We are determined to practice the mode of goodness. Then it is possible. How? We have to be determined. This is the important word. Then only it is possible. And by transcending the modes of goodness, he can be situated in the pure goodness. From goodness, it is easy to practice devotional service. In any mode, and we can practice devotional service. But in mode of goodness, it is very easy. Vasudev state. It is called Vasudev state. A state in which one can understand the science of God. By the manifestation of a particular activity, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So how to understand which mode one is present? So what type of activity that person is doing? According to that, we can say in what mode he is present. He is present. That we can see. And we can tell by seeing his activities. So Acharyas, they have given insight one point that how this mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, how one of them can defeat other. One of the point Prabhupada has mentioned here that we have a free will. And by determination, what we can do, we can defeat other two modes by determination. So this is one of the reason Prabhupada has given. The particular mode and which we want to develop by determination. Then Acharya says that karma also has some role, and our association, which we have currently and previously, that also has some role, and our choice also has some role. So all these factors they contribute which mode we can be under, which mode can bind us. So all these things are important. And in next part, Krishna is mentioning how the characteristics of the living entities. Krishna is mentioning. Now, before what Krishna has mentioned, that from verse number 6 to 8, and that how these modes are binding. Yeah. How modes are binding living entities. Now, what Krishna is mentioning from this verse number 11 to 13, 11 to 13, Krishna is mentioning mm, the activities of living entities, and not we can say that the effects of the three modes, and that it is how we can see the effects of three modes. And Prabhupada mentioned the last line, by the manifestation of a particular activities, and it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So now Krishna is mentioning the particular activities of living entity. Activities in Sattva Guna and in Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. Next three verses. So 11th verse, what he is mentioning? Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidya vivrutim sattvam iti yuta. The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced. So how we can experience mode of goodness? When we see all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. It is mentioned in 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Navadvare Pure Dehi. There are 9 gates to the body of living entity. So what are these 9 gates? Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport. And 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 6. And the mouth, genital, and anus, 3. 6 and 3, 9. These are 9 gates. When every gate and all these 9 gates are illuminated by the symptom of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. Of goodness, one can see things in the right position. One can hear things in the right position. And one can taste things in the right position. One becomes cleansed inside and outside. So these are activities of a living entity. In every gate, there is a development of the symptom of happiness. And that is the position of the goodness. So main characteristics of the what is the person in the mode of goodness is all his 9 gates of the body, they are illuminated. Means they are in the knowledge. How we can experience that? How one of the gate is ear. Means what he is hearing right things in right position. And when then eyes is seeing the right things, is tasting the right things. And like that, he uses all these 9 gates in the right thing. This is one characteristics. And another characteristics which Prabhupada is adding here is one is a clean. Clean in outside. And inside. So in 13th chapter, in the process of knowledge, he has mentioned this quality, cleanliness, shaucham. There he has mentioned, Prabhupada has mentioned, how to be clean inside. Somebody remembers? Or see in your notes. We have studied in the process of knowledge.
Think of Krishna and chant.
Chanting is mentioned. Thinking is also correct. Thank you. So what happens by chanting and thinking of Krishna? How the person becomes clean? Cleans from, he becomes clean from inside. And person becomes clean from inside by chanting and thinking of Krishna, by practice of devotional service. One becomes clean internally. And how externally one will be clean? There Prabhupada has mentioned.
Taking bath.
By taking bath. Thank you. So this way, one can become in mode of goodness. Actually, the process of becoming clean inside, one can transcend all three modes. So devotional service, but one is practicing devotional service means one is transcending three modes. But that is the way clean inside. In every gate, there. So mainly these two symptoms are there for the mode of goodness, for person in the mode of goodness.
Can you elaborate more on what, how to understand seeing, hearing, and tasting in right position, and what, that every gate has a symptom of happiness? These 2 points.
Actually, right things means here it is not mentioned in the details, but that I have to tell according to some understanding or philosophical speculation that actually it is a right thing. Seeing right means here we can not say any devotional things. Means use of eyes for seeing Krishna. If we that say, then that falls under category of devotional service. Then it will not come in goodness. So right things, how to explain is, we can see all these things. It will not degrade us to passion and ignorance. That will say the vision which we are seeing. How exactly put into the words? That much we can say that that vision should not degrade us in the mode of passion. It should not increase our attachment and what we saw Krishna and hankering, and we can see the spectrum. It is very in that way only we can explain that what is the right thing to see is that thing which keeps us in the mode of goodness. That only we can see. And a right thing to hear. Similarly, we can explain about all the 9. I'm not getting any idea. Actually, nobody has mentioned this particularly in what detail so much that how to do this.
Answers my question that see, hear, and such that we don't degrade to
passion and ignorance.
Thank you.
That in general only we cannot say. Very difficult to say that particular activity. Because acharyas, they also, I saw just now, that they also have not mentioned. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has also not mentioned in the lecture. I will try to find out if some details are there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhu.
first Prabhu, tada rajas tamo bhava kamo lobhadayashti ete te ratamritam stitam satve prasiddhati. And by Rendering devotional service, it defeats the mode of passion, in particular lust and greed, and one is situated in the mode of goodness. I mean, at least what I understood was, if we even if we see Krishna and all, right, even if it is devotional service, it will defeat the modes of passion and ignorance and situate us in goodness. So
Now, if we are seeing the Krishna, then taking darshan of deities, and then what is happening? We are practicing devotional service.
yes, Prabhu.
Then a devotional service, what it does, it transcends the three modes. And devotional service is above the three modes.
Yes, Prabhu.
It doesn't fall under the category of three modes. Okay? And what Prabhuji's question is, like here the verse number 11, which mentions the characteristics of the mode of goodness. So in that, Krishna has mentioned in general the characteristics of goodness, that the gates of the body, 9 gates of the body, they are illuminated. By how they are illuminated? By doing the right thing by that gate. In that,
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhupada has given the example of ear. One can hear things in the right position, in the right. And same example is given by Vallabha Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And only they explain the one sense only. And I will just read the English translation. That what they have mentioned is an illumination or knowledge, a real awareness of things through the sounds of Vedas appears in all the doors, such as ears. One should understand there is an increase in sattva through such symptoms of knowledge. One gate only they have mentioned, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And what Baldev Vidyabhushan he is saying is, when knowledge appears in the form of revealing senses. When knowledge appears in the form of revealing sense objects, such as sound, as they actually are, through the knowledge gathering senses, such as the ear, Jnana Dwareshu. If we are mentioning the sense objects as a devotional, then it is transcending the three modes. And that's why, so what sense object we should take for these 9 objects is, we can only say that it should not fall, degrade us to passion and ignorance. So in that way only we can take that sense objects through these 9 gates.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
That is the thing. Somebody else has raised the hand. Answered. Same question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sir, Prabhuji, there is some network issue. Actually, I have one. I don't know I'm right or wrong. But as we can see that the people doing some karma karmic activity, they go to the temple, they sometimes do some mantra. So, but they are not in the part of a devotion, but they think this is a good activity. So, is it in the mode of goodness? We can take this example.
Worship. Their worship in the is that in the mode of goodness. So that will answer that activities in different modes. And Krishna is speaking that concept in his 14th chapter and 17th chapter also. And after that, it is not answered, then you can ask same question. Okay. After 17th chapter, you can ask if you have not received answer.
Yes.
Some things are there in 18th chapter also regarding modes. After that, some you can ask. So this is about the what are the characteristics of the person in the mode of goodness. Then and then next verse explain the characteristics of the person in the mode of passion. So Krishna is mentioning lobha pravrutti arambha karmanam asamah spruha rajasya etani jayante vibruhe bharatarshava. Krishna is telling, O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptom of great attachment that we already seen, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering daily. So, what the person has symptom is he has a great attachment and he is attached to fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering. These are indirect characteristics. And Prabhupada is mentioning about them that one in the mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. This is one of the characteristics which we can see. The person in the mode of passion is never satisfied and he always wants more and more. He doesn't stop whatever is bare minimum, he doesn't act on the ground of need, and whatever is needed, that much only he doesn't act. He acts more only because his nature is he is active. He hankers to increase his position. Before we saw that he requires some honor and he has some ego position he wants. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best. And this is, we can say, sense gratification he wants to do. Yeah. Then he wants a house. Then he will not be satisfied with a simple house. Yeah. He wants a palatial house. Means he wants to do sense gratification. We can see. And if he is constructing house as a need, and then he will be satisfied with simple house also. But he is passionate person, so he's wanting palatial house only. He would be able to reside in that house eternally. Sorry, he thinks he would be residing there eternally, but that doesn't happen. He develops a great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to sense gratification. This we can see. This is not his understanding. This devotee can understand by seeing such a person. There is no end to sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and continue the process of sense gratification. That is the passionate person will do. There is no cessation of this. All these symptoms should be understood as a characteristics of the mode of passion. What characteristics practically Prabhupada has mentioned? That the person in the mode of goodness, he is not satisfied. That explain the uncontrollable desire, which Krishna has mentioned. His desires are not under control. That characteristics how we can see in this world. He wants more and more. He hankers to increase his position. He hankering develops. This also Prabhupada has mentioned practically and how we can see in this world. Then intense endeavor. Intense endeavor for sense gratification. Big things he want to do, like palatial house. So for palatial house, what first he has to earn more. And after earning more, what he has to do, he has to invest lots of time and energy in constructing this house. Yeah. It is not easy to construct. So all these things shows his intense endeavor. Yeah. And he wants to remain with his family and in his house and continue the process of sense gratification. That shows his great attachment. There is no cessation of this here. This all these symptoms should be understood as the correct. Now, what Krishna has mentioned directly in his purport. Then Acharyas, they have mentioned one point that whatever Krishna has mentioned, they are explaining that here lobha, intense greed, lobha is mentioned. Krishna has mentioned lobha, one of the characters. So how we can understand this word lobha? So lobha means whatever possession that passionate person has, and whatever possession he has. So what he's attached to that. He's attached to his possession. Whatever he has, he's not ready to give up his possession. So that is the meaning of lobha. We can see these characteristics of person in the mode of passion. He's not ready to give up. He has great attachment. He wants to continue. Prabhupada has mentioned his life in his home. That is his attachment. So anything, Prabhupada has given just one attachment. Any attachment he can have, and except Krishna. If he has attachment for Krishna, then that bhakti. He has attachment for other things, except Krishna. That is lobha. And then another word, pravrutti, is there. So what is the pravrutti? And means he is activity, and Prabhupada has given simple translation. Means he is doing intense endeavor. That is pravrutti. So apart from devotional service, he works intensely for anything. And then there is karmanam arambha, and this word is there in the verse. For this, acharyas, they have given karmanam arambha. Karma means work and activities. So he takes up activities and which requires more endeavor. Big activities like constructing big house, like these activities. Yes, they are giving example according to their time. And so in today's thing, what we can do, consider is what big activity a modern civilization person is doing. Passionate person is doing. Like difficult activity which they are doing. Big activities. This is their house also. Big only. They have to take big loans and modern time also. And then pay back that loans. This is also nearly about a major part of their life in going that only, and in taking home. And then after that it is mentioned asamaha spruha. Asamaha spruha. Asamaha means they are not ready to give up their sense objects. Senses, in goodness, what's happened is senses are satisfied. So the passionate person doesn't give the sense object, give up sense objects only. And he wants to continue his life with sense object. So that is shown by the word asamaha spruha. And he has desire for sense objects, uncontrollable desire for sense objects, and longing for that sense objects. So these are characteristics given by Acharyas in detail. And how we can see the characteristics of the passionate person. And about the person in the mode of goodness, activities, characteristics. And what Krishna is mentioning, अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च तमसस्य एतानि जायन्ते विवृधे कुरु नन्दनः. Increasing the mode of ignorance. And O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, illusion are manifested. What are these things we'll see? But what Krishna is mentioning, darkness. And darkness means what? And a word is there, aprakasha. And then inertia, madness. And inertia means apravritti, and pramada, madness, and illusion is moha. So these are four characters which Krishna has told. Aprakasha, apravritti, pramada, and moha. So Prabhupada is mentioning when there is no illumination, it means aprakasha. Illumination means light. Light is not there. Knowledge is absent. And so how we can see light is not there means knowledge is not there. One is in the mode of ignorance. Doesn't work by regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. And so that is madness, whimsical. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. That is energy and alasya. And this is also called illusion. Because he is illusion, he doesn't endeavor. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. He doesn't act. So actually, this is inertia. Sorry, I made the mistake. So what Prabhupada is telling, even though he has the capacity to work and he makes no endeavor, this is illusion. And inertia is telling next. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. This is inertia. He is not acting inertia. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance. So what are the symptoms? So darkness, Prabhupada has mentioned, no knowledge. The person doesn't have knowledge of what is right and what is wrong. And then inertia, what Prabhupada has mentioned, that he doesn't work, inactive only, inactive. Madness. What is madness? Madness is this.
Act whimsically.
Act whimsical. That he doesn't have the capacity, although he has capacity. Means wrong. Illusion means moha. He has capacity, but he is not. He thinks he doesn't have. Then these are characteristics. Then Acharyas have given some more understanding in this regard. So they are mentioning this darkness, aprakasha. They are mentioning enjoyment of things prohibited by scriptures and aversion to prescribed actions. Sorry, this they have mentioned knowledge only, and this another second apramatta. So actually, they have given multiple understanding. First understanding they have given darkness is knowledge, and another understanding they have given is that absence of discrimination means vivek and what is good and bad, that is absent. Discrimination is absent and it is not there. Then and then accepting sense objects and not approved by the scriptures. Prohibited sense objects means enjoyment not approved by the scriptures. They do. That also shows they are in the darkness. This is the meaning they are given. Then second point, apramatto means that apravrutti means inactivity, means inertia. Inertia also they are giving two meanings. They are mentioning that first is enjoyment things prohibited by scriptures. This they are adding here also. Enjoyment prohibited, prohibited enjoyment by scriptures. Who is prohibiting? Scriptures are prohibiting. Sinful activities, in short, they are doing. And aversion to prescribed action, both things. And prescribed action is duty, dharma. For dharma, they are averse. Aversion to dharma. And another meaning they are given is absence of effort, inertians. That name only suggests inactivity. So three meanings they have given for inertia: inactivity and aversion to duty and prohibited enjoyment. They are doing, enjoying. What is prohibited enjoyment? They are doing. And then inattention, they have explained that only. Pramado. And so pramado, what Prabhupada has mentioned is madness. So they have mentioned it as inattention. This person is not attentive in anything. Like this meaning also. They have mentioned absorption in wrong thing, wrong activity. They have absorption. Wrong and false thing they are doing. That is moha. In this way, these are characteristics which we can see of this person in these three modes. So we'll stop here. Somebody has any question?